I heard someone breathing next to me. The first time I heard it, I told myself it was nothing. That's what you do, isn't it? You hear something in the dark, something close, something warm and rhythmic and wrong, and your brain performs this little magic trick where it turns the unbearable into the ordinary. It's the pipes. It's the wind. It's you. You're half asleep. You're imagining things. Your mind will do almost anything to avoid accepting what your body already knows. But your body always knows first. Mine knew the moment. I woke up at 2:47 in the morning on a Tuesday in late November. It knew before I opened my eyes. It knew in the way my stomach dropped without warning, the way every hair on my arms rose in one slow, terrible wave, the way my lungs forgot just for a moment how to breathe because there was someone breathing next to me, not across the room, not outside the window, not through the wall, right next to me, maybe 18 inches from my face, slow, steady, deeply relaxed, the breathing of someone completely at home. I want you to understand what that felt like. Not movie fear, not the exciting kind that makes your heart race pleasantly. This was something older. The fear your ancestors felt in the dark when the dark actually had things in it. It moved through me like ice water, starting in my core and spreading outward until my fingertips went numb and my jaw locked and my eyes still closed. Still squeezed shut, burned from how hard I was refusing to open them. Because if I opened my eyes, it would be real. My name is Daniel. I was 31 years old when this happened, working remotely as a data analyst. Recently moved to a new city after a breakup that had hollowed me out considerably. I had 4 people I would have called friends, none of them nearby. I was lonely in the specific, grinding way of someone who has chosen isolation because connection had recently hurt too much. The apartment was Unit 3C in a narrow building on Aldermere Street, 3rd floor, high ceilings, radiators old enough to make sounds at night that you could almost convince yourself were voices. The bedroom window faced an air shaft, a 4-foot gap between my building and the brownstone next door. The previous tenant had left behind a few forgotten items and a smell in the second bedroom I can only describe as almost lavender, floral, but with something darker underneath, like old churches or rooms sealed for too long. The building manager, Mrs. Parrish, had handed me my keys with a smile that reached her eyes, but didn't move the rest of her face. Her parting words, which I didn't think about until much later. The building is very quiet at night. You'll want to keep your windows closed. I assumed she meant traffic noise. I was good at assuming the comfortable explanation. It was, at that point in my life, my primary skill. The strangeness began slowly, the way it always does when something wants to go unnoticed. In my 3rd week, I started waking once or twice a night for no reason. Not from nightmares. My dreams were strangely empty, gray and formless, like sleeping in fog. I'd simply open my eyes at 2 or 3 a.m., listen to the radiator tick, and drift back off. I told my doctor. She said stress. New city, difficult year. She was right about both. She just wasn't right about the cause. Around the same time, a smell appeared in my bedroom. Sweet, organic, just slightly past its proper time. Not decay exactly, but that borderland just before it, where sweetness becomes its own kind of warning. I checked my windowsill plant. Fine. I leaned out the window and shone a flashlight down into the air shaft, looking for debris. The beam didn't reach the bottom. I burned a candle for a week. The smell faded. I forgot about it almost immediately. Then, one evening I came home to find my front door not quite latched. closed, but that millimeter of gap where the latch hasn't caught. I went room to room and found nothing wrong. I told myself I'd pulled it shut on autopilot that morning. I started checking the door every night after that, a new habit that attached itself so fast I should have recognized it as a response to something real. 3 days later, the window in my second bedroom was open an inch. I had locked it the week before. I stood in the doorway, feeling the thin blade of cold air, and I thought very carefully about whether I had touched that window. I had no memory of it either way. I closed it. I locked it again. I told myself I was becoming paranoid. That night, I lay awake listening, and for the first time I became consciously aware of the air shaft as a presence, a column of air moving in that narrow gap, barely perceptible, rising and falling with the wind pressure from the street. In the silence of 3 a.m. it sounded almost organic, almost like breathing. That's what it is, I told myself. Airflow, physics, nothing more. I held on to that explanation for another week. Then came the night of the 12th, a Sunday. I'd worked a long day and fallen into the deep, heavy sleep of genuine exhaustion. No waking, no drifting, just darkness, and then a sudden cut to a different kind of darkness. Cold, alert, the darkness of being completely awake with no transition. 3:19 a.m. Something had pulled me up from deep water. I lay still, letting my eyes adjust. The chair with my jacket, the dresser, the lighter rectangle of the window across. The room, the window I had locked, which was now open an inch. I could see it, the thin stripe of darker darkness at the bottom of the frame, the barely perceptible movement of cooler air reaching me from across the room. I got out of bed. I'm not sure why, some layer of functioning below full cognition, the logic of the half-awake. I walked to the window, and I looked down into the air shaft. Out in the shaft below my window, turned upward in the darkness, was a face. It was gone the moment I understood what I was seeing. 1 second, a pale oval, unmistakably human, looking up, and then nothing but shadow and my own ghostly reflection as I yanked the window shut. I locked it. I checked the lock. I stood in my bedroom and shook for 10 minutes without being able to stop. Then I rebuilt my explanation, brick by brick. Face-shaped shadow, debris, my own reflection misread by a half-sleeping brain. I built it until it was solid enough to sleep behind. In the morning I went to check the window and found the lock turned 90 degrees from where I had left it. Not open, just moved. Just enough to show that after me, someone had touched it. I should have called the police that morning. I know that now. Instead, I called a locksmith. New locks on all 4 windows, new deadbolt on the front door. The physical reassurance of properly set latches. I told myself this was the rational, practical response. For 11 days, nothing happened. I started to exhale. I slept better. I went for longer walks. I was almost okay. Then I found the photograph. I was unpacking a box in the second bedroom when I pulled it away from the wall and found, in the gap between the box and the baseboard, a Polaroid. Old, faded to that warm pallor that Polaroids get with age. Left behind by the previous tenant. Missed by whoever had cleaned the apartment. In the photograph, a woman was asleep in a bed. My bed. I recognized the headboard. She was photographed. From above and to the right, from the angle you'd have standing on the left side looking down. She was deeply, peacefully asleep. She had absolutely no idea the picture was being taken. And on the left side of the mattress, in the space beside her There was a depression in the bedding. A shallow impression, the kind a weight makes. But whatever had been lying there had moved just before, or just after, the shutter clicked. Just out of frame. Just gone. I turned the photograph over. On the back, in small, precise handwriting, "She never heard me." I called the police. A officer came, looked at the photograph, filed a report, and asked professionally, carefully, whether it was possible I had taken the photograph myself and didn't remember. I told him I didn't own a Polaroid camera. He wrote something. In his notebook, they checked the building. Found nothing. No unauthorized occupants. No signs of entry. They spoke to Mrs. Parrish. She confirmed only I and building maintenance had keys. They noted the report and left. My friend Marcus, who had driven over that same night, was the one who eventually found what the police hadn't looked for. He knew someone who knew someone, and through a chain of contacts he accessed the building's old maintenance records. There had been a worker, I won't write his name here, who had left the building's employ 14 months ago under circumstances the records called voluntary resignation. His former co-worker called it something else. He had possessed a key to every unit. He had done overnight emergency maintenance calls. He had, according to the person Marcus spoke to, become very interested in one of the units on the 3rd floor. 14 months ago was the same window as a post I'd found on a neighborhood forum while searching my address late. One night someone asking if others in the area had experienced unexplained sounds from buildings on the east side of the block. 3 dismissive responses. Account deleted shortly after. Post archived. The police attempted to contact the former maintenance worker. As of the last update Marcus received, they hadn't found him. He had left the city, quickly and thoroughly, in a way that suggested planning. And now I'm back where I started. 2:47 a.m. Tuesday, late November. Eyes closed, body rigid. Approximately 18 inches from my face, someone breathing with the slow, even rhythm of deep sleep. I'll tell you what I knew. The door was locked. I had checked it. The windows were locked, all for new latches requiring deliberate force. The building was 3rd floor. No fire escape on this side. I'll tell you what I didn't know. How long the breathing had been there before it woke me. Whether it would stop if I moved. Whether whatever was next to me was asleep or awake. That last question was the one that stopped me completely. The breathing was so calm, so utterly without fear, that it belonged to something that felt no urgency about being discovered. Something that had done this before. Many times, perhaps, and had never once been caught. I could feel warmth. That is the detail I cannot reason away, even now. Not just the sound, the actual warmth of each exhale against the left side of my face. The faint displacement of air with every breath. It was close enough that I could feel it. Without moving my body, I moved my awareness through it. I assessed the space. Left side of the bed, where I never slept, where I had never created any depression in the new mattress. I'd bought factory sealed. The left side of the mattress had a slight, unmistakable weight pressed into it. There is weight on the left side of my bed. Somewhere in the seconds that followed, I made a decision that I still don't fully understand. I opened my eyes. It took everything I had. I opened my eyes in the dark bedroom and I looked at the left side of the bed, empty. I lay there staring at the undisturbed pillow, at the gray ambient darkness, at the space 18 inches from my face that held nothing at all. The breathing had stopped at the moment my eyes opened, or perhaps a beat before. I couldn't locate the exact moment. The warmth was gone. The weight as best I could tell in the dark, was gone. And then, from the second bedroom, through a closed door and a wall, that smell? Sweet, just past its proper time. Moving again. The way Marcus had told me, smells don't move. I turned on every light in the apartment. I didn't stay after that. I want to be honest about this. Within 48 hours, I was at Marcus's place, and within 2 weeks, I had broken my lease and moved to a top-floor apartment in a different part of the city. A building with a doorman. Security cameras in every hallway. Mrs. Parrish didn't fight the broken lease. That told me something I didn't want to know. I left the mattress. I bought a new one. I sleep on the right side, same as always, and I leave. The left side empty. And most nights the left side is simply empty the way it is when you live alone. Most nights, 3 months after moving out, I found the Polaroid in a jacket pocket. I must have grabbed it without thinking on that last terrible night. I burned it in Marcus's kitchen sink, watched the edges curl and blacken, watched the woman's sleeping face disappear, watched the words on the back hold their shape until the very last moment, as if they wanted to be read one final time. I think about her often. I wonder if she ever woke at 2:47 a.m. with her arms going cold and her lungs forgetting their rhythm. I wonder if she heard what I heard, or whether she slept through all of it peaceful and unknowing. Whether that made her lucky, I think about. That phrase and the pride in it, the intimacy of it. She never heard me. The quiet satisfaction of someone who had perfected their own invisibility, their own undetected closeness, who had been doing it long enough to feel ownership over it, long enough to document it, long enough to wait for the next tenant. I live alone now, in my new apartment, top floor. I check my locks every night. Both checks, always. The left side of the mattress is always empty. I know this. I have confirmed it, rationally, every single morning for 8 months. But here is the thing about the body. Here is the thing about old fear. It doesn't update based on new information. You can know you're safe and still feel, in the 3 a.m. dark, the cold certainty that the space beside you is occupied, that somewhere nearby, slow and steady and deeply relaxed, something is breathing, and it has been for a while, and it is not afraid of being found. The worst part isn't what I heard that night. The worst part is wondering how many nights I slept through it. She never heard me.